Hello, everyone, and welcome back to ManifestSeven's YouTube channel. We have a special episode today as we have Chief Operating Officer Pierre Rouleau on to dive into the logistics of distribution. How are you doing today, Pierre?
Doing well, Michael. How about you?
Having a pretty good day. As you had said before the call, it's quite snowy outside, but that's okay. So, first, I kind of want to paint a picture of Pierre. So, I want to talk about your past experience. Your profile on ManifestSeven's website says you have a rich blend of strategic insight, operations acuity, and a unique perspective and visionary leadership. Do you want to explain that anymore?
Well, that has to do with a lot of variety. So my past career was in aviation. So I started as a pilot. I have my airline pilot license. So that became my first venture into business. When the airlines were not doing so well, I decided to start a business in aviation.
Okay.
Discovered that I had a knack for startups and small companies, and became a serial entrepreneur.
Okay.
The the path brought me to a really unforecasted career path, which was the high tech business. In aviation, we needed GPS guidance, so I created a company that did some GPS guidance systems for aircraft, and that developed quite well. That moved me around. That is, I'm Canadian of origins. I'm French Canadian. That's why the French name. That career path brought me to the US. So I lived in Arizona for about 8 years to grow that company. And long story short, sold it, went to live in shuttle to Silicon Valley for a couple of years. And when my contract ended with the acquirer company, I decided to move to Singapore, which is a place where I spent 8 years living. And then I got back into the aviation market there, and came back into California in 2015, where I discovered the cannabis industry.
Wow.
And the cannabis industry was in very big need of business organization, a creation of infrastructure. The licensing was just coming around. There was a lot of cannabis business in California before 2015, because it was actually legal since 2000, or sorry, 1996.
Hmm.
And but it was disorganized. It was not completely legal, and the group that talked to me about this industry was a group that needed the creation of an infrastructure and the business. So I joined that group. We created the company in SoCal, and we opened a series of stores in Southern California and in Las Vegas. And a few years later, there was a separation of assets because the founders decided to feud, and that is the moment that I joined ManifestSeven, which was called MGIC at that time.
Okay.
And ManifestSeven is so we actually acquired some of the assets of that old company I was with. And in ManifestSeven, we focus on three major areas. One is distribution, which will be a topic of this discussion. We also do retail stores and home delivery. So that, in a nutshell, is my past.
Okay. Okay. That sounds pretty good. So, well, on top of flying, you kind of been all over the world doing business with all sorts of people. That's really cool, man. That's good to get cultured and travel. And then you made your way to California, and yeah, California's been definitely ahead of the curve on the cannabis, at least in the USA. So you were kind of there when things were just getting going. That's cool. And then you finally made your way into ManifestSeven. So what is it that you do now for ManifestSeven? So you're the chief operating officer. What does that actually mean, though, for the company?
So it's a nice title to say I run all the operations. So which includes everything from sales to retail to distribution to infrastructure to logistics. So everything that boots on the ground and we right now we deal in California and Arizona. So many divisions, and so the responsibility is to make all that work as one big unit.
Okay. Okay. So like what would a day-to-day look like for you?
Good question. So day to day, so mostly the focus is to try to bring each division leader into the same alignment as the rest of the company. So we want to make sure that we have a clear path between cultivator, all the way down to the end user on their front doorstep. So that's why we have the three focus areas I mentioned before. So in California, we are very heavily regulated. There's an organization called the BCC, or the Bureau of Cannabis Controls, that sets the parameters on how you can legally do business with cannabis. That requires us to have many licenses. For example, we have distribution licenses, which allow us to do certain things, which is buy product, for example, from a manufacturer or cultivator, and we are licensed to transport that product from that location to our warehouse, or in some cases directly to a retailer, for example. Okay. That is our distribution license, which requires a 3PL or logistics infrastructure, which is a fleet of vehicles, a series of warehouses, staff to man all this, inventory control, regulation control. Compliance is a big deal. We take that product, we bring it to retail. So some of those retail customers are our own infrastructure also, which is called the Whedon brand. So everything we do retail is under the Whedon brand. So we have different licenses in the retail. So a store has a specific license also, which allows that store to buy product from a distributor and sell it to the end user. And we also have licenses that allow us to do home delivery. Again, we can buy the home delivery license, which is typically different, allows us to buy the product from the distributor and drive it and deliver it to the front porch of your house, at which point we take payment. So okay. We have a full path, omni-channel, we like to call it, from the top of the supply chain all the way down to the front porch.
Okay. Yeah, that does sound really comprehensive. You cover a lot there. What would you say the most difficult part of distribution is? I imagine it'd be something to do with state-to-state regulations, right?
The regulation is a big part of it, yes. So one of the big difficulties is to get the industry to recognize the sales and logistics arm of distribution to be a value add. So we focus on distribution as a full service. We offer brands and cultivators and manufacturers to not only transport their product, but we also sell their product. So we have a dedicated sales team that is all across California that actually sells the specific chosen brands into our distribution to all retailers in California, which there are somewhere in the neighborhood of 800 licenses in California. So we sell the product, we take possession of the product, we move it around, we store it, and we deliver it to the end user also, which is a full service infrastructure. And the brands come to us to help them expand their brands into all the retail stores in California. So we try to bring a value to those brands to be perceived not only as a transportation service. That's not what we're all about. We are about representing their brands as well, or hopefully even better than they would themselves, by bringing their costs down to a lower level than if they try to do everything in-house.
All right, Pierre, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Don't be afraid to leave a comment below and subscribe. You have a great day, Pierre.
Thank you.